Blind date disaster. The janitor sat at the wrong table, but the CEO couldn't stop smiling at him. In the bustling heart of New York City, where skyscrapers pierced the clouds like ambitious dreams, lived Ethan Harlow, a quiet janitor at Sterling Tower. Ethan was the kind of man who blended into the background, unassuming, with calloused hands from years of scrubbing floors and fixing leaks. His days started before dawn, mopping the marble lobbies where executives hurried past without a glance. At 32, he had learned to find solace in the simple things, the rhythm of his broom, the quiet hum of the city at night, and the occasional smile from a stranger that reminded him he wasn't invisible. Ethan's life had been a series of quiet struggles. Orphaned young, he had bounced between foster homes, dropping out of school to work odd jobs. But he harbored a secret passion for poetry, scribbling verses on napkins during his breaks. Words were his escape, a way to capture the beauty in the mundane. He dreamed of more, but reality kept him grounded, literally, on the building's lower levels. Across the same tower, on the penthouse floor, reigned Isabella Voss, the formidable CEO of Voss Enterprises. At 35, Isabella was a force of nature, sharp-witted, impeccably dressed in tailored suits, and known for turning failing startups into multimillion-dollar empires. Her days were a whirlwind of board meetings, negotiations, and high-stakes decisions. Success had come at a cost, though. Her marriage had crumbled under the weight of her ambition, leaving her with a guarded heart and a schedule that left no room for romance. Isabella's friends, worried about her isolation, had convinced her to try a blind date. "You need to live a little, Izzy," her best friend Mia had insisted. Reluctantly, Isabella agreed, booking a table at La Belle Époque, an upscale French restaurant in Midtown. Her date was supposed to be a tech entrepreneur named Marcus, polished, predictable, and perfectly matched on paper. That same evening, Ethan found himself in an unusual predicament. His co-worker, Jamal, had set him up on a blind date as a joke turned serious. "Come on, man, you deserve a night out," Jamal had said, handing him a reservation slip for La Belle Époque. Ethan, who hadn't dated in years, felt a flicker of excitement mixed with nerves. Dressed in his best thrift store suit, a bit worn but clean, he arrived early, his heart pounding like a drum. The restaurant was a symphony of elegance, crystal chandeliers casting warm glows, white tablecloths draped like fresh snow, and the soft murmur of conversations. Ethan scanned the room, looking for table 12 as instructed. But in his anxiety, he misread the number and sat at table 21 instead. Across from him was Isabella, sipping a glass of Chardonnay, her emerald eyes scanning her phone impatiently. "Excuse me," Ethan said softly, his voice steady despite the butterflies in his stomach. "Are you waiting for someone?" Isabella looked up, her perfectly arched brows furrowing slightly. She took in his appearance, the slightly rumpled collar, the honest face with kind blue eyes, and the faint scent of pine cleaner that clung to him like a badge of honor. This wasn't Marcus. Marcus was supposed to be in a designer blazer, not this unpretentious stranger. But something in Ethan's genuine smile disarmed her. "I am," she replied, her tone cool but curious. "And you?" Ethan nodded, settling into the chair. "Blind date. First one in forever. I'm Ethan." "Isabella," she said, extending a manicured hand. As their fingers touched, a spark jumped, subtle but undeniable. She couldn't help but smile, a real one that reached her eyes for the first time in months. Why? She wasn't sure. Maybe it was the way he looked at her, not as a CEO to impress, but as a person to know. They ordered appetizers, escargot for her, a simple salad for him, and the conversation flowed unexpectedly. Ethan shared stories of his janitorial adventures, the time he found a lost wedding ring in a vent and reunited it with its owner, or how he fixed a leaky faucet during a power outage, saving a late-night meeting. Isabella laughed, genuinely, her usual guarded demeanor cracking. "You make it sound heroic," she said. "It is, in a way," Ethan replied, his eyes twinkling. "Everyone's got their battles. Mine just involve mops and plungers." Isabella opened up too, surprising herself. She spoke of the pressures of running a company, the loneliness at the top, and how success felt hollow without someone to share it with. "People see the title, not the person," she admitted, her voice softening. Ethan listened intently, nodding. "I get that. Down in the basement, I'm just the janitor. But I've seen enough to know titles don't define us. It's what we do when no one's watching." As the main courses arrived, filet mignon for her, pasta primavera for him, the mix-up became apparent. A waiter approached, whispering to Isabella about her actual date arriving at the correct table. Marcus stood nearby, looking confused and a tad annoyed. Isabella glanced at him, tall, handsome, but radiating entitlement. She turned back to Ethan, who had overheard and was already standing to leave. "I'm so sorry," he said, cheeks flushing. "Wrong table. This is embarrassing." But Isabella couldn't stop smiling. In that moment, something shifted. Ethan's humility, his quiet strength, had touched a part of her she'd long buried. "Wait," she said, her hand on his arm. "Stay. This might be a disaster, but it's the best one I've had in years." Ethan hesitated, then sat back down. Marcus, sensing the vibe, shrugged and left. The night deepened into dessert, creme brulee shared between them, and deeper conversations. Ethan recited a poem he'd written about city lights as lonely stars, and Isabella felt tears prick her eyes. "That's beautiful," she whispered. "You have a gift." For the first time, Ethan felt seen. Isabella, in turn, felt alive, not just existing in boardrooms. As they parted ways outside the restaurant, under the glow of streetlights, Isabella handed him her card. "Call me." "Not for business, for coffee." Ethan grinned. "I'd like that." What started as a blind date disaster blossomed into something profound. Over the next weeks, they met in secret spots, a quiet park bench, a hole-in-the-wall diner. Ethan showed Isabella the beauty in simplicity, picnics with homemade sandwiches, stargazing from the rooftop he cleaned. She introduced him to her world, art galleries, symphony concerts. Their differences complemented each other, his grounded perspective balanced her ambition. But challenges arose. Whispers in the office about the CEO dating the janitor. Isabella's board questioned her judgment, fearing it tarnished the company's image. "He's not in our league," one advisor sneered. Ethan faced doubts too. "She's out of your world, man," Jamal warned. Self-doubt crept in. Could a janitor truly belong with a CEO? One stormy evening, tensions peaked. They argued in Isabella's penthouse. "I can't keep pretending this doesn't matter," Ethan said, pacing. "People look at me like I'm a charity case." Isabella's eyes flashed. "And you think I care about that?" "Ethan, you've shown me more kindness than any suit in my life. But if you walk away because of what others think..." He stopped, pulling her close. "I'm scared. I've never had something this good." She cupped his face. "Me too. But we're stronger together." That night, they vowed to face it head-on. Isabella addressed the board, defending their relationship with fierce eloquence. "Love isn't about status, it's about soul." Ethan, inspired, submitted his poems to a publisher, landing a small deal. Months later, on a crisp autumn day, Ethan proposed in the same restaurant, at the wrong table. Isabella said yes, her smile radiant. Their story became legend in the tower, the janitor and the CEO, proving that disasters can lead to destiny. Ethan rose to manage facilities, his poetry book a quiet success. Isabella softened her edges, leading with more heart. In the end, it wasn't about titles or tables, it was about two souls connecting in a world that tried to keep them apart. Their love, powerful and unyielding, touched everyone around them, a reminder that the heart knows no hierarchy.